Hey guys, it's Stephen here. Welcome to my personal channel. I'm going to start something new on this channel that I've been meaning to for a very long time. Now, if you watch me on my other channel on Steam Company, or you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm a very big fan of modern entertainment, be it films, games, TV shows, all that kind of stuff. And I'd like to try and review them because I like discussing all these kind of things. I like listening to people review their favourite films, and I like people talking passionately about anything that they love. And that hopefully will be something that's of interest to you guys. So today I'm going to start my first ever film review. It's the first time I've done a film review, so this should be interesting. I want to know what you guys think of it in the comments below, so please do be honest and let me know what you make of it. Obviously, as ever, all these views are just mine, just opinions, just something that I would like to do and discuss all the fine culture and art out there. So in general, let me know what you reckon in the comments below. Let me know if you want to see more of these kind of videos. But first film I'm going to review ever on this channel is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man swings in once a day, zip zap zop in his little mask, and answers to no one.
Spider-Man. I do love Spider-Man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. I always have been. I don't know, there's something about his awkward outsider kind of nerdy stick that's always just appealed to me as a person. Maybe it's quite relatable. Maybe it's something that I just find naturally endearing. And this film, well, to me, it's just comic book glory in its purest form. It's creativity. It's this pure, refined, unadulterated joy. It's just pure Spider-Man. Now, I've been meaning to see this film for a while, but I've been putting it off for a little bit because of Live and Christmas and so on and all that kind of stuff. But I'm finally glad that I got to see it yesterday. Oh, and it really was worth the wait. There really is just something that draws me in about Spider-Man. I think for me, it's his gratifying skill set, this elegant balletic grace mixed with this almost awkward and unstable boiling pot of power and teenage angst. And this what really feeds into this film so well. And this is why this animation style, this really infamous animation style that turned heads, worked so well, because he captured his performance in this display with such a wide range of colour and emotions. And Spider-Man's always been about being relatable. He's always been this flawed, kind of inherently human superhero. And this is what this film does perfectly. I've always enjoyed pretty much every iteration of Spider-Man. Some have been flawed, some have been better than others. Admittedly, there's been some missteps along the way, but even then, I've still found something to enjoy. Be it Tobey Maguire's kind of like adorable boy lost to the big wide world naivety, or even Andrew Garfield's kind of sharper, cheekiest take on Spider-Man. Even Tom Holland's latest reboot with his youthful enthusiasm and this kind of like really obvious coming of age story about it. It's just great. And even then, personally, this year's PS4 game, Spider-Man, I thought Yuri Lowenfels, I can't say his name, I thought his take on Spider-Man was fantastic. Now, we had obviously the look of having a 20-hour game to kind of really dive into the depth of him, but that performance I thought was fantastic, one of the most well-rounded Spider-Man that we've seen in any form of media. But in general, I've always found pretty much any take on the famous New York web-slinger to be quite an entertaining one, and this film doesn't disappoint on that front. I first caught the film a few months ago, and it stood out like the most beautiful sore form amongst a bunch of insipid, boring, predictable trailers. And I was really delighted to say that that energy that you saw in the trailer, it carried on. The film is just vibrant, it's fresh, it's dazzling. The trailer was, and all those things when the first time I saw that trailer made it an immediate must-see to me. It just looked different, it just looked playful and exuberant, and it just seemed refreshing to see all this colour and all this liveliness after a bunch of identical superhero films over the past few years. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a fan of a lot of Marvel's creations, and a lot of superhero films have been loads of fun. I watched them and enjoyed them all, but this just felt different. Just at the point where we were all getting a little bit used to the formula of these superhero films, this kind of came out of nowhere. This trailer just caught my eye. It was unexpected, but it was fresh, it was exciting, and it was colourful. Most importantly, it was interesting. It just looked like the antidote of everything that we've been seeing over the past few years had become drearingly predictable. And the film just carries this great love of the source material. It obviously shines through that the people making this film are enthralled to the comics. Now, I'm no comic book expert. There's probably a billion people on YouTube who know a lot more about the Spider-Man comics than I do. I'm not going to claim to be the authority in that part, but you can tell they absolutely love them. You can tell that they're obsessed with the artistry and the skill it takes to produce those comics. There was just so many little visual flourishes throughout the film that's really a delight to look at. It just bristled with creativity from the off. It was charming, it was different, it was fun. It's just this full-on assault on the senses backed by the most exciting and bombastic of scores. Post Malone, Nicki Minaj, Black Caviar and more. And it just felt exactly what you'd expect a young Miles Morales to be listening to on the streets of Brooklyn. It felt like a very 21st century, a 2018 take on Spider-Man. I always feel like a great score should win a person over regardless of their musical taste, and I'm going to be honest, I am not the world's biggest hip-hop fan. I don't dislike it actively, but I don't really tend to use it. I'm a guitar kid by nature, I've been in bands and all that kind of stuff, but even then I find myself nodding along and almost kind of like tapping in unison with the music as I was watching it all unfold on screen. It had this brilliantly crescendo-like experience as the music just kind of climaxed at the same time as the visuals kind of burst into this kaleidoscope of colours on the screen. It was just goosebump-inducingly beautiful. And I walked out of the cinema singing those songs, and me and my girlfriend went home and we searched the songs on Spotify, we listened to them, and that's when you know they've got it right. When you go home and you just have to listen to the soundtrack. And it wasn't just about the soundtrack, as we know, and as I've mentioned already, those visuals, that incredible animation style, oh, it's just bursting with life and style. It honestly made me question the last time I saw a film that had that much creativity in its design. Every scene felt meticulously crafted over, visual gags everywhere, words popping up on screen like something out of Adam West's Batman, and it was just the colours, the colours. It's just this kaleidoscope mixed with a rainbow, mashed up with some iTunes visualizer thing going on, as different kind of glitches and spectrals of colour just burst from every corner of the screen. It was just a genuinely overwhelming experience to look at, but in a really good way. And Miles Morales too, he was absolutely fantastic. Just this bundle of nervous but cool yet angsty yet also hugely likeable energy. A kid thrown into a new environment, struggling with the usual tropes of trying to find his feet in a new school, maybe arguing with his parents, maybe a little bit too enthralled, some people like shouldn't be enthralled of, all that kind of usual stuff. A bit obvious and maybe a story that's been done a million times before, but it didn't really matter when the characters were that warm. It was a traditional coming of age story and it's been done 1,000 times, but it didn't really seem to matter. It took those superhero tropes, those cliches, and it wore them proudly. It played with them, it toyed with them. There was quips about origin stories and jokes about the predictability of the villains in superhero films. The characters were actually self-aware and they embraced the traditions and ripped the piss out of them at the same time. I loved how confident it did that. It was almost like the Lego movie in that aspect. It just toyed with the madness that it was creating itself and just embraced it. For me though, the true genius in the film lied in how it tied together all the different spider people, whatever they were, spider pig, whatever, spider robot thing. Basically, there was loads of different forms of spider people as you've seen in the trailer, and there's been so many variations of the same character over the years, in countless forms of entertainment, be it through comics, films, TV shows and so on, that's been impossible to keep track of. And this basically created this idea that they've all been running in a different alternate universe throughout this, and they've been brought together at the same time. And I love the idea that all these variations, be it, I don't know, Andrew Garfield's take or even Tom Holland's or the ones we've seen in the Miles Morales Spider-Verse film, have been running at the same time, and all these just coexist, and maybe their worlds could collide at some point and be brought together. I love that creativity. The idea that there could be multiple Spider-Men, multiple Spider-Women, multiple Spider-Animal things, it all ties in together and it all actually makes sense. I love the fact that they made this kind of crazy reimagining of the same character seem so natural. The fact that all these characters were only ever a dimensional leap away from joining each other into this weird universe, be it like this weird anthropomorphic Looney Tunes inspired Peter Porker pig thing, genuinely that actually happened, or Spider Noir, perfectly played by Nicolas Cage, this black and white kind of strangely antiquated take of Spider-Man from around the World War II era. There was a few minor issues. Maybe Miles didn't get the length of film he needed to fully show several different sides of his character. Maybe some of the spider people from the alternate universe didn't get a chance to be fully fleshed out either, but at the same time that didn't really matter. You can't expect a character as fleshed out as the one from the PS4 game where 20 plus hours of gameplay to get to know and love a character. You have to do a lot inside 2 hours, and he still managed to pick it off, but there still could have been maybe a little bit more emotional resonance. He kind of got there, but for me it could have been a little bit more. But these are minor problems in what was a film that was just bustling with life and energy. More than anything, the film just felt important. It just felt right to me. The soundtrack, the colours, the depth to it all, the characters, the fun, the ideas, it was just alive and burst from the screens. And to me as well, Miles Morales felt important in an era where Black Panther empowered millions and millions of people across the world. Hopefully Spider-Verse can do the same. We've got a part Puerto Rican, part African American superhero here, soundtracked by Post Malone. Yeah, it just felt really good. Yeah, it was good and it was needed. To me, this simply was the most fun I've had watching a superhero film for a long time. It just felt like a watershed moment for what people can actually do with animation, for creativity, and hopefully this sets the standards now what superhero films can be, well then we're on to a very good thing. Anyway guys, that's just my take on a film that I definitely recommend you go and see. Let me know what your take on it is. Let me know what you thought of this review as well, and if you want to see me review any more films in the coming weeks, please let me know. Subscribe if you're new to this channel. Anyway, go and see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.